Queens. All right, well, hello, welcome. This is like a sneaky shame training session because we all like to pretend like we've got our shit together, and then we're like, just please, dear God, don't check my inbox. So I just want to say, if that's you and you've got sneaky shame about your inbox, hi, welcome to Human Club. I think it's one of those things that we don't like to admit, that we kind of have inbox or inboxes that are like, I'm going to take you through a little bit of a really practically oriented. I hope you can take something away and shift some behavior change off the back of this. Little bits of kind of a little bit of context and theory, but then I'm very much, you guys know, I'm very much practically minded and practically focused. So I want you to take something away that you can commit to and see that change. And the other thing that I would say is sometimes we think that good performance is about something bigger than it is. And it's these little habits like how we handle email that can actually make a massive difference. And personally, I am an email weirdo. The vast majority of the time I have really, really good email hygiene habits. I kind of think of it a bit like sleep hygiene. You have email hygiene, and then it's those habits that you build up. Now, I'm going to make a disclaimer. I've been doing this since I was about 26 years old, so that's far too long to count. And I just want to say, if anyone's like, oh, well, it's fine, you're a consultant, how many bloody emails do you get? I crafted this set of mastery skills when I was a senior manager in corporate. When you're tagged into bloody everything and people want to CC in the manager just so they'll get a bloody reply and all of that sort of corporate malarkey. So this set of practices that I've got were created out of sheer need. And I've been lucky enough to sort of keep that habit up. So that's the disclaimer and kind of like boast post from my end. Let's see if I can work out how to share my screen. Here we go. Do this one. Right. So let's crack on in. Getting out of email overwhelm town. I've told you enough that that's secret shame, sort of settings. So welcome. Email overwhelm. Right, quick quiz. We're going to get practical. You're going to look in the mirror, have a little bit of a navel gaze right from the get-go. I just want you to be honest. You don't have to share. You can if you want to, and we can use that to riff on. But when and where in your working day, or, before your working day, do you first check your email? Do you keep it open during the day? And do you find yourself checking on your phone? Now, I'm just going to tell you a little story. I used to be very proud of being busy with my phone, my big stack of notebooks and my laptop, and I'd race around between meetings. And then I would just tell myself this story about, oh, shit, I've got to get back to so-and-so, or oh, Fred's just sent me that, and oh, Susan needs this from accounts, and da-da-da. And I'd have all of these, it just added to my mental to-dos because I was very busy looking busy. And then I'd run around, and then I fell down the stairs. So don't fall down the stairs. Don't be a dweeb with your email checking. Don't do what I did, but these questions are just here to not be quite so dramatic. Don't fall down the stairs because then you might have to fill in a health and safety form and that would be painful. So just answer those questions, and I think that will help you as we go through this have an understanding of the tone of kind of where emails sit in terms of the priority stack and how you sort of, the sort of habits as you go about your day. Right, so awkward bit, because free webinar, there's always an awkward bit. So how can you work with me? How can you have more of me in your life? I know some people are like, dear God, please no. So freebies, stay connected on LinkedIn. You heard about this on LinkedIn, so stay connected. Or get me in your inbox, and I send out a weekly little mojo boost around bite-sized performance stuff. Or you can put your hand into your wallet. So there's two ways. One is not so spency. It's $10 a month. And as you will see later, there is a very nice tie to email performance in here, because I will share with you about our co-working and how that works. Or if you want to do some one-on-one stuff, that's slightly more spency, but it's designed to help you really shift. So find out more. You've got your email links, website links there, businessclub.co.nz if you want that $10 a month. If you're a business owner, you want to land in a place with cool, amazing business owners, that's your zone. Or you just want me because you feel special, that's alanaswain.com. So that's, oh yes, okay, I like that, Heidi. That's very honest. try to block it, but I'd be guilty of the dopamine hit. I hadn't even thought to talk about dopamine, but you're really right. So let's go in and have a riff. And I like what you're saying there. Making them wait is fine. Yes, it's the setting expectations, I think, and sticking to them. Really important. Okay, so creating email habit change. And I just want to be really clear. I feel like sometimes we can get all hung up on email systems and getting sexy with our tech and all of blockers and, all the things, but actually it's about how we engage as a human with our tech. And so that means it's about habit change. So I just want you to stop and think about when, back to those questions I just asked, when do you check your emails? Now, timing is everything here. And I just want to make a caveat, which is for most of us, we're knowledge workers. Our best work comes from what comes up here. Guess what? For the vast majority of us, our brain performs best in the morning. So if we start going and adding to the chaos in our mind with email in the morning, it's actually going to degrade our performance and mean we're not going to show up and do our best work because we're spinning an email hamster wheel. And the truth of email is the more you send, the more you get. So just like Heidi was just saying, you can make people wait, and that's okay. And you're guilty of opening it with the first coffee, Darren. Oh, yes, okay. So maybe that's your checkers. What could be more satisfying? Because that's habit change, right? Like what it's buddied with is a big thing. So what could be more satisfying than your emails? Could it be reading a chapter of a book? Could it be, maybe going down a YouTube rabbit hole, learning something? Binging on a TED talk, something about how do you shift that companionship of those habits. And I just want to say here, some people get really defensive about, but I need to know if the sky fell overnight. Well, Chicken Little, it didn't. It will be okay. If you've got a boss, they'll phone you if you really missed it. If you are your own boss, don't be a dick to yourself. And work with the right clients. So I would say, in terms of stacking up when you check your emails, look, for most people, and like I said, I've known this from like senior management, literally hundreds of emails a day, you can process your emails 2 to 3 times a day in a batch processing setting. So you get in, you go, I'm focused, and then you have a system. Now, if you want to get really refined with your system and how you use that, I've got a reference to Graham Alcott's amazing work later in these slides, or just fire me some specific questions, and I'm more than happy to share the actual system that I use in terms of, well, how do you process rather than check to feel mighty and important and get those sexy dopamine hits, Heidi. And so a lot of that is that reframe of you're not checking, you're processing. This is a task you're doing. How quickly you respond to email is not actually a signal of your might and prowess as a human being. Your might and prowess as a human being is actually in how good you do your work. And if you're on this, you're probably not, the email inbox customer processing part of an organization. That might be some of your role, but it's actually not your primary role. Cool. All right. So with all things habit change, don't aim for perfect. Aim for consistent, and remember that this habit change is about protecting your most valuable performance asset, which is actually your attention, your focus, and your brain. And that right there, that's why I've pulled in a lovely Graham Alcott quote, that sets you up for success. And that kind of ties in with what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes we think performance is really sexy, and actually it's this habit change stuff with the little things that sets us up to do the mighty, amazing stuff that our brains are really good at. Right. Really practical tip here, out of office. Now, I think there's a couple of you here who will have had the very great pleasure of being in on a reply from my email, which says, hi, I'm Alana. I'm not in my inbox because that's not where I do my best work, and it sets really clear expectations. So it sounds like me. It's not, hello, this is the default office email processing that says, auto response will reply in 2 to 3 business days because we're very busy. No, It sounds like me, it's worded like me, and it's really clear, which says I normally process my emails in the afternoon, and it will take 2 to 3 business days to hear back from me. And then I have a day where I'm not online. I'm in my other job, which is called parenting small humans. And so I'm not in my inbox on those days. So it's really clear. And then I stick to it. And this is the missing ingredient that a lot of people don't talk about. If you have an out of office that says that and then you reply in 5 minutes, guess what? People are going to reply and they go, oh, look, they're actually in their inbox replying. Oh, just sneak a message. Maybe they'll reply to me. Maybe that's for everybody else. No. If you want to change other people's behavior, you've got to change your behavior and you've got to stick to it. And this might involve pissing people off. Oh, yes. So could we apply the same thinking to chat messaging? Yes, Darren. So true, because I think particularly if you're in those larger organizations or you've got a bit of a Slack or Teams or that kind of thing, where and when is that? And creating those norms for you, for your team, for those people that you work with, which, this is a channel for communication. And my focus is really important. And if you want some really good thinking in that space, I highly recommend Cal Newport's work. He wrote an amazing book called Digital Minimalism, and he set some really, really clear, really robust thinking. And I think we can tend to want to go to the extreme, but I'd say a bit like with the email habit change, make it small. Okay. And I used to have this in place, take the brain niggle, right? Yes, yeah, it does. It's just when you kind of go, no, I'm not here, you kind of like shut down that tab in your brain and go, I don't need to worry about my inbox because my out of office is guarding that and setting expectations. And I had a text message a couple of weeks ago from a client going, I know you're too busy to be checking your emails. Can we do this? And it was resolved just like that. And you create the habit change with the people you work with. Now, I want to share another story here. I did this off the back of, we'd done a big corporate thing, and it was all our people are everything. And this is when I had a big ass team. It was 180, and I'd had some feedback in my, people leader surveys, which was, Alana, we don't see enough of you. You're always in meetings or busy running. And I was like, oh shit, my main job is my people. So I was like, okay, I've been given the corporate remit, people, I'm going to put it in. And I put this out of office, which said, hi, my people are my greatest priority. We agree this as an organization, yada, yada. It was kind of worded Alana-ish. And I was like, I'm on the floor with my team on this day and this day. If you need me and it's urgent, you need to phone me, because I do only process my emails at the end of each of those days, right? So it was really clear. And then I got a phone call from the general manager, and I was like, oh, shit. I took it too far. Alana's just pushed the boundary a little bit too much, and I'm going to get told off. And I didn't. She actually phoned me because she got my out of office and went, hey, got your out of office. That's real cool. Thanks for setting those expectations. Hey, can you answer this? And so if I could do that with a general manager being slightly freaked out, I was like, oh, crumbs, I'm going to be called into an office. And they were okay with it. So once again, yes, I do this now, and it's all very, oh, well, I'm my own boss, and that's cool because I'm picking the right clients to work with. And it sounds a bit woo-woo and, nice for you white privileged git. But this works at scale, and it is about finding that safe way of taking on board those values with whoever you work with in whatever setting. Remembering what makes you most important is not how fast you respond to your email. So another point, and Darren, this kind of lends to what you were just talking about chat, like notifications. Like, look, let's just be fair. Silicon Valley are making a lot of money out of us being distracted and using our devices a lot. And I actually think that notifications and dings and all that sort of stuff, that is actually one of the biggest leakages in terms of our performance. So I would say turn them off in your settings. Unfortunately, if you work in a corporate or you're office-based, Office Outlook by default wants to send you notifications, especially if you keep it open during the day. So when I've witnessed most people with their emails, their default is open a browser or open Outlook in that order, as you say, Darren, with the coffee. Feel very smug and important, just do a peruse of the news or peruse of the socials and peruse of the email, right? And then that makes you feel like you're mastering your day. It doesn't, but that's okay. That's not this forum. That's another forum. So I would say choose when and where, and remember that your email inbox and to a certain extent, those chat channels, where do they fit in your day? They are tools in your toolkit. They don't need to be open on the back of your ute. And then if you want to be really cool, I would say move to only desktop email and take it off your phone. And that will stop you just being addicted to that dopamine hit that you talked about, Heidi, in terms of, I'll just see if I'm important. Did someone message me? And then if you can, if you're not quite wanting to move that far, is turn off push notifications. And I think if you can turn off push notifications for social media, any of your chat channels, like whether that's Slack or Teams and things like that, and keep your phone to a pull facility, which is you're going to consciously choose what you do, that will have a massive impact on the shift that you have in your performance and with your focus. So yeah, that's me sort of on my high horse about notifications. So back to you guys. Have a little mull, a little kōrero with yourself and your noggin. How might you change your email habits? And little bit of a challenge. What is a change you could take up this afternoon to keep for a week? So we're not going grandiose. Heidi, you're just back from holidays and that was nice. That's got that fresh start feel. So you could kind of maybe keep that buoyancy. But what's something that you could change? And if you've got any questions, feel free to come off mute or chime in.
I mean, for me, it's like never anything new. It's just having the discipline to take the action that you need to and step away from that, kind of a little bit of an addiction cycle away.
Yeah, and it is. And I think that that's one of the things that we don't talk enough about is it's addictive because like Silicon Valley is spending a lot of money making us addicted. Oh, I like it. Turn off email notifications and introduce an afternoon coffee, Darren. Nice. A bit of a well-timed like after lunch slump is quite nice. Then you can, combine that with some caffeine. I don't know how kind you're being to your 10 p.m. self there. I can't do coffee. I can't do coffee at lunchtime. But if you're one of those marvelous humans who can, I think that's awesome because then you're keeping your coffee and email habit. So that should make it sustainable. And then you're just moving it to a different time. Yeah. Cool. Nice. I like that you've committed to it. I'm going to check in with you both in a week. Any questions? Any kind of things you're like, oh, well, Anna, that was a nice whirlwind, but there were lots of words and I need you to clarify that thing.
I've got a question just more to, I'm interested in your opinion. Some of my work does require at times like a swift response, and that's more like if there's a client that I've got new in a software, I don't want to leave them hanging for an answer. I want them to feel like comfortable and on top of things and supported, and that's all a part of, I guess, what they're paying for. How would you kind of, what are your thoughts on kind of managing that when there is like a timeliness to some of the work that you do?
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really good point. So I think you could think about your customer onboarding and think about, we default to email because email is easy, but you could do something like, hey, look, while we're in the midst of integration mode, let's use WhatsApp or let's use text or let's use this other thing over here. If it works for them and you kind of, could shift them into a slightly different channel, or know that is just part of your role and it's got to be that.
Yeah.
My guess still would be, though, the first hour and a half of your day, it's unlikely that they're going to need you. Just knowing the sort of work that you do, Heidi, like when the shit's going to hit the fan, it's more likely to be after they've trickled down their shit flow, which would be likely to be after 10:30 or after lunch. So even if it's just the habit change, which is just not having it open by default to start the day, and you get through a chunky piece of work, just in focus mode,
Mm.
that actually could be all the shift you need in terms of,
That's true.
Yeah.
I think it's the focus mode concept that's the bit that I'm thinking about at the moment. And I mean, it's easy, you can schedule it in your diaries and stuff like that. But I think what you're talking about here is using that optimum time. And I guess for me, it's not the emails so much, but it's that instant messaging thing. Is how often am I flicking and going, oh, is there a LinkedIn message there? Is there a Teams message there, or something like that? And I think probably my biggest aha moment out of this is okay, that's important to you're right about the dopamine hit, but it's important to also control that, isn't it? So it's the email messaging, and the need to feel like you've got to go and check, but actually, as you've said a couple of times, if you don't for an hour, it's not all going to fall apart.
Yeah. And some of that is the culture of, because I know, Darren, you do work with larger organizations. Look, corporate has a shit culture about this stuff. Like they're just forever degrading performance left, right, and center, because they've got their really expensive assets, e.g., amazing knowledge workers, being expected to be on for dings and dongs. So I think some of it is around, that whole be the change you want to see in the world. And if you've got an environment with whether it's with teams in a corporate setting, or if it's with your clients, if you're your own business, and just sort of, hey, here's what's normal. Here's how we work together. And just same thing, we want, like with all habit change, we want to go to this really I'll just be an extreme digital minimalist. But actually sometimes a 1% change is really profound in terms of how that end stacks up.
Yeah, and I think starting with that expectations you were talking about by putting it in your out of office or your reply, the automated reply, and setting that expectation, then most people are going to be okay with that. And if they're not, then they can, have a chat about it, have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that courage to just be maybe disliked or start a conversation that, it's not comfortable for any of us. But, have I gone away with it at one of the biggest corporates in New Zealand? I'm giving you a vision slip. Okay, so here are some of the tools that I use. So 2 of these are books. How to Be a Productivity Ninja by Graham Alcott. He has a really empathetic and compassionate way of writing, and it's a really nice sort of methodology to focus. And I use his inbox system and have done for a number of, I think I'm coming up 2 years using this, and it really works for me. And I run multiple inboxes. So if you ever want to have a riff on how to use it, I'm more than happy to give you the Cliff Notes version. There's also an amazing book by a guy called Nir Eyal, who's out of Silicon Valley, and it's called Indistractable. And then he went on to co-found this really cool website called FocusMate. Now, FocusMate sounds creepy as shit, because you'll get match made with someone anywhere in the world who is a FocusMate user. And you can choose between 25, 50, or 75-minute sessions. And it has that kind of focus methodology, a bit like Pomodoro, which is go hard, be focused, and then have a break. But what I really like about FocusMate is, one, I quite like the kindness of strangers, and the community on FocusMate are really marvelous. Like, you get to talk to all sorts of people. I think us Kiwis are charming, so that's always fabulous. And then it's got that kind of, you've got to say at the start what you're working on, and then you do a bit of a debrief at the end for like a minute, right? So you're talking for like a minute either end, but it's amazing what that does for harnessing your focus and not wanting to pick up these bad boys to just check, because you're like, oh, well, crumbs, I said I was going to work on, those meeting minutes, or that presentation deck, or this particular chunk of work for a client, or design for a workshop. And so you can pick the time that works for you. And their free option's really good. You get 3 sessions a week. So it's, and even the paid version, I've got the paid version, it's something like 80 New Zealand dollars a year. So it's not, for me, what it does to my focus is really worth that investment of time and money. And then just back to Business Club, that is one of the reasons we have co-working on a Monday in your business club, because if it's going to go to custard, it'll either go to custard on a Monday or a Friday. Let's be fair, those are universal truths. on a Friday, you kind of can't redeem the week, right? So I just go, you chuck that in the fucker bucket and move on. But Monday, if Monday gets derailed, that pesky critter will trickle right through your week. So we have a 1 p.m. on a Monday because it's that post-lunch slump, but it gives you the chance to redeem your efforts. Now, if you were wanting to habit shift emails, that might be a really great place to start, is come join us in your business club. It works out at like just over $2 a co-working session. And we've got a couple of our members who just use it for that. So you get me. I don't know if that like is a delight or a freak out moment. But yeah, so that's building on those, you know, the shoulders of these giants. That's why Business Club has that 1 hour co-working designed so that a Monday doesn't derail and that you get through that post-lunch slump. So with that whole, what am I going to work on? Did I do it at the beginning and the end? So yeah. So that's us for today, for getting out of overwhelm town in terms of emails. Has anyone got any other questions? Do you want to put me on the spot? Like, I'm putty in your hands, my friends.
No, I think I'm good. It was just some great reminders. Probably some things that I have done in the past, and I think, like Heidi was saying, you know, you can do it in the past and then just get a little bit sloppy over time, and it's good reminders to go, actually, no, we can get a little bit disciplined around this kind of stuff, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I say this as someone who, you know, I slip from time to time, but when you've got the tools and the habits, you know how to get back.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
No, it's cool. Thanks.
That's awesome, Heidi.
Go and check.
Yeah, I'm glad that was a great reminder. Thank you both so much for taking time out to be here. Appreciate you. And yeah, have a fabulous week. I'll check in with you to see how that's going with that shift in a week.
Sounds good.
All right. See you,
Bye.
humans. Bye.
Bye.